The class is in memory of Jared Orchen, and we are going to learn the Haftorah of Parshat Pekudei on page 1137. The Haftorah of this week's Parshat Kitisa, is already online from years ago. We were teaching about Elijah, and we were teaching the Haftorah. But this is about Parshat Pekudei. We're going to learn read in 2 weeks from now. But we will learn this because it's a continuation. There is 3 Haftorahs, so really a continuation. Truma, Tetzave, Vayakhel, and Pekudei are really a continuation of 4 Haftorahs from the book of Kings. Why? Because it's in the Torah also, these 4 parshas speak about the building of the temple. Truma and Tetzave, then there is a Kitisa, the parsha of the read this week, is about the golden calf. Then is Vayakhel and Pekudei, also 2 parshas about the building of the temple. Then the Haftorah is about the same thing. This Haftorah is we read about the end, how King Solomon already built the temple. How long took Solomon to build the temple?
8 years.
7 years.
7 years.
And he started on his 4th year because he needed to accumulate some money before he can start. And then he started to build the temple, and he hired the best professionals. He hired a guy with the name Cherubs from Tzor, and he came and he built beautiful buildings, and he built 2 pillars, Yachin and Boaz, beautiful, everything made out of copper in an amazing, was a very, very special artist. And the building was unbelievable, it was beautiful. It was the Yam Shlomo, it was like a little collection of water inside the temple that he built for beauty. Everything was there amazing. Then now we're going to read, this is in the middle in Kings chapter 7, number 51. That's the last verse of King chapter 7, and then we start the beginning of chapter 8.
Thus all the work that King Solomon did on the house of God was finished. And Solomon brought in the things which David his father had dedicated, the silver, the gold, and the vessels, and put them into the treasuries of the house of God.
What does this mean? What happened there? What means Solomon bought the treasuries of King David? Treasuries of gold that David prepared? What happened here? David prepared everything to build the temple. David wanted to build the temple, right? And the last minute God told him he cannot build it. But he was ready to build. He bought the property. Who bought the property for Temple Mount? The Temple Mount? David. David bought it from Aravno. David paid the money for the Temple Mount. He bought it. He got it. He made a deal. He conquered Jerusalem. He bought the property for the temple. He prepared money, gold, everything was ready there. He even made songs what the Kohanes will sing in the temple. That's how far it went. He prepared, he made the plans, everything. Here you read, Solomon built the temple, and all the gold and the silver and the copper that David prepared with the vessels, he brought it in, kind of put it in a storage. Why he didn't use it? That's the question. The real question is why King Solomon did not use the money that David prepared to build the temple. Instead, he taxed everybody, and he took from them more money, and he was sucking their souls out, and everybody paid. There is money in the treasury, ready for the temple. But the Talmud brings a few explanations. One explanation is the money that David took, where he got it from? From wars. Then King Solomon knew when he built the temple that one day the temple will be destroyed. He knew it. For this reason, he built tunnels underneath the temple, that one day the Ark of the Covenant will live to be hidden in the tunnels before the enemies will come to conquer the land, to conquer the temple. Means he knew in advance that's how was his thinking when he was building the temple. His thinking was it's not forever. Now usually a person builds a home, builds a synagogue, builds a life. He doesn't think one day it's going to be destroyed. He builds. For the future forever, God willing. Then he built it. Then because King Solomon knew it, he didn't want to take this money. He says one day the Gentiles, the nations of the world, that the money was conquered from them, will say, oh, how gods came and took revenge on the Jewish God, destroyed the temple because it was from our money. But King Solomon says, I don't want to touch your money. I don't want you guys to ever claim that you give yourself credit for destroying of the temple because it was taken, the money was taken from you. That's one explanation. There comes an even more sad explanation. In the time of King David was a famine, right? 3 years. Why was the famine?
He took a census.
Because of the counting. King David one day decided he wants to count the Jewish people. We learn in the Parshat of this week, in the beginning, that you're not allowed to count Jews, count people. And if you want to count them, what do you do? You give half a shekel. By Jews, you count the money, you don't count people. How much money you got? Every Jew gave half a shekel, that's how you count. We don't count Jews because of the evil eye. Because counting can cause the evil eye. One day, David called his general, Yoav ben Tzruya, Joab, and he tells him, I want you to go out and to count the Jews. The Joab begged them, why, king, why? Who needs it? May God make him 10 times more. Why counting? But they had this thing, he wanted to count, he finished. He counted the Jews. And then was a punishment. Right? 70,000 people died. And a famine came to Israel. Terrible. 3 years of famine. Then King Solomon came and he saw all the treasures. He said, this money should to be used to feed the poor Jews. He kept it for the temple. It's blood of Jews. I don't want to use it. Because it had to be served with this money, you can buy food for people who had nothing to eat. And he's keeping the treasuries for building a temple. Unacceptable. King Solomon didn't want to touch it. Then comes a third explanation. Why King David didn't build a temple?
Because he killed
Why?
Because of the blood on his hand.
Because he had blood on his hands. That Solomon says, if he couldn't build the temple, the money was acquired in the same way, with blood, with wars. The temple is a temple of peace. We don't want any shred of blood inside the temple. For all of these 3 reasons, King Solomon did not touch the money that David prepared for the building of the temple. Unbelievable. And he collected all new money. And I think this money, if I remember correct, was confiscated by the enemies, eventually. Nobody ever used it. That's the end of chapter 7. Now starts chapter 8, 1.
Then Solomon assembled the elders of Israel and all the heads of the tribes, the princes of the fathers' houses of the peoples of Israel, before King Solomon in Jerusalem, to bring up the ark of God's covenant out of Zion.
The Ark of Covenant was brought by David to the city of David. How was it? What's the whole story? How he bought it? What happened when he tried to bring it the first time?
The one guy...
Wagon.
He took it
touched
on a
the
wagon, and one guy touched it and died.
Uzzah.
Uzzah.
Mhm.
Why Uzzah died?
He was not the proper Levite to be the one transporting the ark.
The big sin was first because they were carrying it on horses, on a wagon. The mitzvah of the Ark of the Covenant that the Kohen should carry that on the shoulders, not on horses should not carry the Ark of the Covenant. And then it was that he looked on the ark in a way he shouldn't. He saw some part of the ark was exposed, and he looked on it, and therefore he died.
That was because he touched it.
Could be, I read that the ark was sliding off of the wagon, so he went to get it
Yeah.
because he forgot or something that
But
You go
why he touched that? No, he didn't want the ark should fall.
Right.
Then you can touch the ark. You can touch in the poles.
But he touched the.
In any case, he died.
I saw Steven Spielberg's midrash on this in the
Yeah.
movie, but
In
you
Indiana
see
Jones?
inside the ark, and yeah, he don't do well.
Steven Spielberg did the Indiana Jones movie?
Yeah, they did.
We
Oh,
talked about that, yeah. That's a great scene, isn't it?
Steven Spielberg did a lot of good movies, obviously.
He did.
Then they all came together to move now the ark from the city of David to the Holy Temple. And what do you think? They were not scared? They were scared too? Okay, we are on page 1139, number 2.
All the men of Israel assembled to King Solomon for the feast in the month Ethanim,
Etanim, which is the seventh month. Okay, what's, you know the name Eitan? Very American name, even Americans call Eitan. What is Eitan mean?
Ethan.
Eitan.
Ethan.
Eitan more. What's Eitan? What's Eitan? Eitanim. Eitan means strong. Why it's called the month of the Eitanim? There is a few explanations. One explanation, which month is it? The seventh month. Which is the seventh month?
Tishrei?
Tishrei. The month of the high holidays is the seventh month. Because the first month is Pesach, Nisan, and when you count the number 7, is the seventh month, is the Tishrei, the month of the high holidays. It's called the seventh month. In Hebrew, Shvi'i, it says it B'chodesh HaShvi'i, the seventh, Shvi'i, Sheva is also the word Savea, Sova. What is Sova? What is Savea means? Satisfied. This month satisfies us with spirituality. We have Rosh Hashanah, and Yom Kippur, and Sukkot, and Simchas Torah. It's packed. Right? For this it's also called Eitan. It gives you strength for the rest of the year. Going at the month of the high holidays, the Rebbe used to say always, it's like going on a show. You know, sometimes you're going to Las Vegas on a auto show or on a jewelry show, whatever your business is, and you buy and buy and buy, fill up suitcases, and you come home and you have what to sell for the whole year. The same thing, a Jew on the seventh month, he goes on the show. He goes to Las Vegas and he packs. He has Rosh Hashanah and he has Yom Kippur, Happy Day, Saturday, Sukkot, Simchas Torah, dancing, praying, everything. He packs up his old peklach, and that gives him enough spirituality for the rest of the year to unpack his suitcases. Comes today, what's today? Still excited from the holidays. Still got there enough to go. Then comes Pesach soon. Whatever. We can recharge the batteries. Then that's why it's called Eitanim. Another explanation why it's called the month of the strong ones is because Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob were born on the month of the high holidays. This month, Tishrei. Anybody more born on Tishrei?
Adam?
You, I'm asking anybody here. You were born on
I was
Tishrei?
born September 4th.
It probably was Tishrei. Yeah, very good chances it was Tishrei. Ah,
September 20th.
very well could be
Depends on
Tishrei
your year you're born.
Yeah.
22nd.
of September.
So-
Could very well be. Here we have here 3
Oh my
Eitanim.
Wow.
Ah,
I was born in Pasteur.
yeah, my wife was born on Simchas Torah. She's for sure born on. Then the Eitanim, the forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, are called Eitan. They were the strong one. Abraham, especially Abraham, is called Eitan. My mother calls him Eitan, the strong one, the one who had the strength to spread the belief of God to the rest of the world. The whole world thought he's crazy.
What's the word in Psalm? Ezra? Is that for Abraham? As when they refer to Abraham in the Psalms, Psalm by David. Is this Ezra? No, whatever.
There is a masculation. There is the word Eitan in the book of Psalms too, but I don't know exactly to which
sure.
name you're referring to. Then on the seventh month, the Jewish people gathered to celebrate the inauguration of the temple. When was the temple ready?
It was actually ready back in, by the time of Hanukkah.
No, Hanukkah was ready, the sanctuary
was ready for Hanukkah.
in the desert.
Oh,
was
the
ready.
desert, you're right.
When was ready the temple?
Oh, the
Sukkot,
Kislev?
right?
Kislev, that was the Hanukkah?
Not
Sukkot.
an Nisan.
No,
What? No. What? When was King Solomon finished to build the temple?
It's
No,
an 8-day holiday that they couldn't celebrate. That was Sukkot, right?
they celebrated actually. They did it on Pesach, on Rosh Hashanah, but on Tishrei, but it was already ready before that, and King Solomon pushed it off to this holiday. It should be on this month. I think it was ready on Iyar or on Cheshvan. I don't remember for sure. One of these two, or Iyar or Cheshvan. Yerach Bul. When is Yerach Bul?
What is that?
Yerach Bul. Yerach means the month of Bul, and Bul, if I remember, I think it was, if I remember correct, it was Cheshvan, if I remember. And Hashem says, it's written in Medrash that says that the third temple will be built on the month of Cheshvan to pay off, because this month could celebrate the inauguration of the temple. And it was not, it was pushed off, that this month is a complaint to God. Why not in my month? I was ready. Therefore, God says that the third temple will be done, will be a payoff for this month and be celebrated. I think it was the month of Cheshvan. I think all year, one of these 2 months.
No, it's really odd then, because if he pushed it off and they accidentally partied through onto Yom Kippur,
Yeah.
that they would have been paying attention to the dates, since he planned
They
it.
planned to pay attention, but they didn't. In any case, they prepared it. I think it's Cheshvan. Yerach Bul is for sure Cheshvan, and I think it was Kabel Sefer Melachim. Yeah, this is it right here. I think you see. Today, everybody can be a scholar in 1 second. Doesn't take much. Look, we open the internet and we become all scholars in 1 minute. But for some reason, the internet is not opening so fast. Yeah. But Yerach Bul is this, and it's being from Sefer Melachim. This is it. It was supposed to be, I'm sure this is it. It was supposed to be ready. It was ready on Cheshvan, and Solomon pushed it off almost a year, until the next high holidays. Cheshvan is the month after the high holidays. He pushed it off for a whole year to celebrate it on the month of the high holidays. It makes sense, because the month of the holidays, that's a month, that's the... And all the Jews came to Jerusalem on Tishrei and the month of the holidays to celebrate the inauguration of the temple. Okay, what happened? Number 3.
All the elders of Israel came, and the priests took up the ark. So they brought up God's ark, the tent of meeting, and all the holy vessels that were in the tent. The priests and the Levites brought them up. And
The priests schlepped the Ark of the Covenant, carried the Ark of the Covenant. The Levites carried the other vessels. Okay.
And King Solomon and all the congregation of Israel who had assembled before him were with him in front of the ark, sacrificing so many sheep and oxen they could not be counted or numbered.
It was a party like never before. The party of all parties. They were slaughtering animals. They were celebrating. They had fun. They were so excited. The inauguration of the first temple of this huge building was an amazing experience. The inauguration. Not talking about the building. Not talking later. The inauguration party was an unbelievable party.
When it says that Solomon was the one sacrificing these, I assume that that's the priests who were doing the actual sacrifice.
Absolutely. Solomon means he donated the sacrifices. He didn't sacrifice himself. No. You have to have a priest, exactly. And he's the king. He was not.
He's not going to dirty his hands.
He probably dirtied his hand, but it's not. At that time, was not considered dirtying your hand. That was a normal life. Okay, number 6.
The priests brought in the ark of God's covenant to its place into the sanctuary of the house, to the most holy place, under the wings of the cherubim.
Oh, under the wings of the cherubim.
That's interesting.
Oh, what happened?
The cherubim was just floating in air, and they put it underneath it.
And we learned already. Cherubim, the cherubs were on top of the ark, right? When Moses built the ark, God told them in the Torah to make. There should be even a picture here somewhere about the cherubs how it looks. Right in top of the ark for cherubs. 1 second, 1 second. This is the menorah, before the menorah, before this. 1 second, just give me another minute to find it. And it doesn't have a picture of the cherub, it's strange. The picture of the ark. Picture of the ark. No picture of cherubs. Shoy, you didn't want to take a picture of cherubs? That's not my problem.
I saw one, and maybe the human cherub.
Yeah, the cherubs were, on the cover of the ark were 2 cherubs made out of gold. Here he speaks that they bought the ark and they put it under the cherubs. Because King Solomon built another set of 2 cherubs. There were 2 sets of cherubs. There were the cherubs that were attached to the ark himself, small cherubs relatively, the size of the ark, it should make sense. And there were the cherubs that were 5 amot tall, every one of them. 5 or 10, very big cherubs. That were separate identities. Brought in, I think made from wood, I think. Brought in into the Holy of Holies. That the 2 big cherubs covered up the whole ark. You had to sneak in the ark and put it underneath the cherubs. Then we had 2 sets of cherubs in the Holy of Holies. One built by Moses, and one built by King Solomon. You heard about it? Now you're going to hear about it. That's what it says.
Does it say that, what's it called? Kruvim? Is that the cherubs?
Kruvim is the cherubs. Yes. It doesn't. Yeah, he bought he was building cherubs. That's basically the story. If I would have you the book of let's see, maybe it brings it to you. It's written clearly in the book of Kings that he built cherubs. This explains a few things, more than a few things.
What's special about a cherub?
The cherub, you're right, it's a good question. What's special about cherub? It's a
Well, I
good
can
question. Huh?
tell you what's bad about a cherub is it's sort of, it's an image.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
So is
obviously you're talking about the good because it's sitting on top.
Were these cherubs the same, Rabbi, as the other one? The boy and the big wings?
But they didn't move with the Jewish people.
Who told you were there?
What? No, I'm asking, you know.
I think they moved.
Even the other ones did.
Yes. Cherubs is a face of a boy and a girl, and they have wings like angels, and they were representing the love of God to the Jewish people. And when God loved the Jewish people, the cherubs faced each other. When God did not love the Jewish people, the faces used to face away, look away. Some even say, according to the Talmud, that when God loved the Jewish people, they were hugging each other. Now that we know there are 2 sets of cherubs, the small one attached to the ark, like if this is the ark, there were 1 here and 1 here, then there is 2 separate identities, 2 big, huge cherubs in the room, covering up the whole room. Then the Ark of the Covenant had to be sneaked in underneath to put in. That's how big was the cherubs.
What was the reasoning to build the wooden ones?
Solomon wanted big ones. Maybe Solomon wanted to cover up the Ark of the Covenant. It shouldn't be seen. It should be more protected because you're not allowed to see it.
Wait,
And the more you're not seeing
the
it,
Ark's in the Holy of Holies, right?
yeah, inside the Holy of
So
Holies
nobody
of the 2
could see it
cherubs.
anyway.
Yeah, but
except-
still the high priest goes in,
Right.
and then he put it up. To me, it explains a few things. Number 1, it's written, there is a story in the Talmud. First of all, we know the king, which king ordered Yoshiyahu, right? The king Yoshiyahu, 30 years before before the destruction of the first temple. I mentioned before that King Solomon built tunnels, right? Because he knew that one day the temple will be destroyed. King Yoshiyahu ordered to take the Ark of the Covenant. He found it's a whole story. He found they found a part of the original Torah that Moses wrote. You know, when Moses wrote the Torahs, before he died, he wrote 13 Torahs. He gave every tribe a Torah, and then he gave one Torah to be put in the Holy of Holies. One opinion says inside the ark, the other opinion says next to the ark was like a shelf. If this is the ark, when the ark came out a shelf, and on the shelf it was the Torah. We'll get to it in a minute. In any case, there was a Torah handwritten by Moses. One day, I think it was Yoshia, right? Yoshayahu, found a piece from the Torah. And when the piece ended, was a bad news, was like in one of the curses. Then he said, this is a sign that bad things are coming upon us. That he ordered the Kohanes to take the Ark of the Covenant and hide it under the tunnels. And until today, they are somewhere there. Not like in the movie, in Ethiopia. They are under the tunnels in Jerusalem. That explains the reasons why people run to Jerusalem. I mean, you go to Metzada once. Twice, you're a little stupid to go the second time. 3 times, you need to see somebody. But the kotel, to the wall, you go once and twice and 3 times and 10 times and 1,000. If it's just an archaeological place where the temple once upon a time used to be, who cares? Why people go there? The Rebbe says something amazing. The Rebbe says the Ark of the Covenant is there. It's still there. The Ark, what was the magnet of the Jewish people to the Holy Temple? The Ark of the Covenant. That was the central point. That was everything. It's still there. The building is destroyed. The Ark is there.
So that's why the Shekinah is still with the Western Wall?
Exactly. And it was a part of the plan. King Solomon, when he built a place for the Ark of the Covenant upstairs and a special place downstairs. And he says one day we'll need to use the downstairs place. That Yoshiyahu ordered to put the Ark of the Covenant in the tunnels. There is other opinions, but that's the majority opinion. That's the accepted opinion. That's why we're not allowed to walk in on the Temple Mount, because it's still a holy place. And so on and on. And it causes politics and argument, but we're not going to. Then comes a story in the Talmud. The Talmud tells a story when the Chaldean are the Babylonians entered the temple. They walked into the Holy of Holies, and they saw the cherubs hugging each other. Then they took them out and said, look what the Jews are doing. They are the Jews who don't believe in idols. And look what they have there. And the question is, if King Hoshea 30 years before that, or 22 years before that, was hiding the Ark of the Covenant underneath the temple, what type of cherubs they found?
The other one.
The other one. These are the cherubs they found. Verstehst? I never knew that before until a few weeks ago. I didn't understand. Always I didn't understand this. The two, it didn't make sense, the two stories. That explains another thing. There is another Talmudic statement. The Talmud says when the Jews used to come to the temple, they used to uncover from them between the holy and the holiest was a curtain. They used to uncover the curtain and show them, tell them, look how much God loves you, because their faces were hugging each other. It was a sign that God loves the Jewish people. The Kohanes wanted to encourage the Jews to show how much God loves them. He said, look, how exactly the way we covered it. The big cherubs you were able to see, the little cherubs to see underneath there, to be able to stand outside and to see what's going on there would be an impossible task. But the big cherubs, it makes more sense, you understand? But when you have 2 sets of cherubs, everything is understood. Everything makes sense. And I'll tell you why we don't know that. Because it's so simple, nobody feels a need to explain it. You understand what I'm saying? Anybody who learned, not like me, anybody who learned, knows that there is 2 sets of cherubs. From Cheder he knows that. That when I told my son there's 2 sets of cherubs, he tells me, I don't have to say an explanation, that's clear. He looked at me like, where were you for the last 4 years?
missed that class.
and a few others. That's the story of the cherubs. And as we spoke last time, that the cherubs, the other place that the Torah, the cherubs are in the Garden of Eden. It's another story. But here, when you explain, when you understand that there is two sets of cherubs, the set that Moses built attached to the ark, and the big two cherubs are 5 amot. 5 amot is 7.5 feet tall. Every cherub, huge. In the Holy of Holies, now it explains. Oh, the hiding the ark, they were hiding before. They left the big cherubs to left. Who cares? Let them take the cherubs. Now everything makes sense. All the statements, everything makes sense. That's what we learned today. Okay. Yeah, I think in number 7. Is this correct?
For the cherubim spread out their wings over the place of the ark and formed a covering over the ark and its poles.
And its poles. That's what he really wanted. He wanted something to cover the ark, to protect to cover the sub, basically. Okay, you want to continue?
The poles were so long that the ends of the poles were seen from the holy place in front of the sanctuary, although they were not seen outside.
You understand what happened is when the Ark of the Covenant, the poles were not allowed to be taken out. They were always there. But what the Kohanes did, they pulled out the poles as much as possible. Why? To a point that when you saw the curtain, you saw from the curtain is sticking out 2 poles. Behind the curtain, you saw something is sticking out. You understand? Why they did it? The commentaries explain something amazing. That when the high priest will enter into the Holy of Holies on Yom Kippur, he should know exactly where to go between the poles.
You have to go down under.
Shouldn't go there, shouldn't go there. No, they open the curtain, they went between the poles to offer the incense.
But there are 2 curtains. He goes in one way and out.
The 2 curtains were in the second temple.
Yeah.
The first temple was 1 curtain.
I thought it was a wall.
A wall, you're right. But it still said that it was a curtain. They said that it was a curtain.
Was the curtain
For
on
sure.
the inside or the outside?
Huh?
What was the curtain on
I think the curtain was on the outside.
Mhm.
No. The poles show the curtain that maybe the curtain was on the inside.
Right, the second
It was a
temple.
curtain. On the second temple was no wall, it was only curtains.
Mhm.
2
Two
curtains.
curtains, one outside, one.
No, it means
no
that when you
poles.
go, you should not be able to uncover the if you move 1 curtain, you'll see the ark.
Mhm.
Therefore, they made 2 curtains. It goes into 1 curtain, then he opens the other curtain
Mhm.
that
Okay.
nobody from outside can see.
Mhm.
And also, they didn't know where the wall was. The wall belongs to the Holy of Holies. The space of the wall, to which side it belongs, to the Holy or to the Holy of Holies. Therefore, they invented curtains. In any case, they stick out the poles that the Kohen should know exactly where to go, where to offer the incense, and not wandering around. It's not a place to take a walk. Okay, number 9.
They are there to this day.
Oh, thank you. Number 9.
Oh, there was nothing in the ark except the 2 tablets of stone which Moses put there at Horeb, when God made a covenant with the Israelites when they came out of the land of Egypt.
Nothing in the ark besides the 2 tablets, really?
Manna.
Huh?
Manna.
You know,
What else?
broken tablet.
The broken
Broken
tablets! We're learning in this Parshas Kitisa, what you're going to read Shabbos, you read about Moses came down from Mount Sinai, right? And broke the tablets. What they did with this tablet? They sold them on eBay. What they did with this tablet?
Put 'em in the
And
ark.
there is a big argument. What happened to the tablet? One opinion says, then in the Ark of the Covenant, on the bottom was the broken set, and in top of it was the complete set. The other opinion says, look, it's written here. There was nothing in the ark but the 2 tablets that Moses bought. Then there is the other opinion says that the broken tablet also says not only that, the Torah was inside. Not only the Torah, when the Jewish people got manna, God told Moses to take a jar of manna and to put it next to the ark, or inside the ark, or outside the ark, by the ark. Why? That Jews should always remember the miracle that is, that the prophet Jeremiah, I think it was, who took the one day the Jewish people complained that Jeremiah told them should observe God's mitzvahs. Then they said, yeah, no, how are we going to make a living?
Shmita.
How are we going to make it's a Shemitah?
I think so.
To observe the sabbatical. Says, how are we going to make him a living? That he told them, he took out the jar of manna and said, you see how God provided for you in Egypt? God has many ways to provide you. If you will do what God wants, He will provide you with everything. Like what do you tell to every young person who gets married and he's worried how he's going to make a living? God takes care of 7 billion people. Take care of you too. He's enough for everybody. Then was beside the manna, what else was there? Maya?
Almonds,
The staff. The staff.
The staff of what?
Aaron.
Moses' staff.
Aaron.
Aaron's staff.
Aaron.
Was there too.
Shimon Mishnah.
And the anointing oil. Yeah, that is mentioned here. Yeah. Was a whole parade there. And the question is, was it together with the ark or wasn't together with the ark? Some commentaries want to say, from the story of Yoshiao that we just mentioned before, that he found the Torah from Moses at one place. What happened is like they cleaned up the Holy Temple and they found the Torah from Moses. From this it means that they found, obviously it wasn't in the Holy of Holies, you understand what I'm saying? Obviously it wasn't there. It would be there, you don't have to find it. Obviously it was in some other storage, put away together with the broken tablets, together with the staff of Pharaoh, whatever it is, it was in a different place. From the way the story is written, it was not clear if it would be in the Holy of Holies, you don't have to find it. That they argued in the ark there was 2 arks. One ark for the complete tablets, the other ark for the broken tablets, and the other all the other things. That explains also they went to war with the broken tablets. There is opinions to say when the Jews used to go to war by Joshua, used to take the Ark of the Covenant, right? Which ark they took?
Well, now there's 2 arcs.
There's 2 arks.
Who said? The Talmud?
The Talmud says opinion there's 2 arks, yes. Which ark, if you would go to war, which ark would you take?
The first. The broken.
Which one?
The broken.
Tablets.
The broken, what do you take?
Take the best one I got.
Which one is the best one you got? That's the question.
The one with the real tablets.
The
The
one,
real tablet.
the one that Hashem made.
Well, probably not the other one because they
That's a broken tablet.
what if it gets
One
stolen?
from the Constitution.
1 second. Then let's get to the bottom of it. You say the complete one.
Yes.
You say the broken one. What do you say? Both of them.
The second, the one that has nothing in it.
I don't know. That's only in the movie.
The first commentary where you said the regular ones the good ones are on top of the broken ones.
That's if you say it's one ark. Then there is no discussion. According to the opinion, there were 2 arks. Which ark you took to war?
The real one.
Both of them are real one. I'll tell you.
You don't get it stolen.
Logically, we should take the complete ark. Because the broken ark, what is it reminding about us? What is it reminding to the Jews?
The sin.
The golden calf.
The golden calf. Do we want reminders about the golden calf? We need merit from God to save us in the war. Are we bringing things to remind them the bad days? You know, there is a law, the Kohen Gadol used to wear golden clothing that had golden threads inside. Every day of the year. On Yom Kippur, when he entered the Holy of Holies, he was wearing clothing made out of linen, right? White linen. Why?
Now,
Why
we're
really
speaking
gold?
of
With
that.
golden
Now,
calf.
and he was also wearing wool too.
Yeah.
Should they not be combined?
In the temple, the Kohen is allowed. Good question.
Because
Well,
of the
that's-
tzitzit?
No.
It's also,
it's called,
but-
I forget what it's called,
Yeah.
sneas or...
No, I mean, it had to be a combination. Wool and.
Yeah, wool and linen. In the temple, when it's a mitzvah, it's allowed.
No.
Why was the high priest not entering the Holy of Holies with his golden clothing?
Because of the golden calf.
Because he didn't want to remind God about the golden calf, so to speak. That if you don't enter the Holy of Holies, because I'm here to ask for forgiveness of the Jewish people, I cannot come with the same golden, with the gold, because I'm gold, I get gold. Come white. Then if this is the case,
Why wear every
You should go to war. When they go to war, they shouldn't take the breaking tablet. They should take the complete tablet.
But the wars are being fought because Hashem has ordered them to do it. So
One second. But really, logically, you're right.
You got one traveling set, and you got one.
besides the broken are going
But the truth is that Mark was right. They took the set with the broken tablets. Why? Because the broken tablets, when the Jewish people saw the tablets were broken, you know what it caused them? Something deep down was broken. Their ego. Something was broken in the Jewish heart forever. You know, when you say in Hebrew, we say, there is a Hasidic saying, Hasidic rabbi said, he never saw a more complete thing than a broken heart. Now, in English, it doesn't sound right. A broken heart means somebody. A broken heart means an humble person. Then the broken tablets, when they went to the war, and they saw the ark of the broken tablet, what reminded them? It reminded them of the sin, that they did tshuva. They repented. They deserve Hashem should save them. You understand? Then actually we used to take, the Talmud says they used to take to war the broken tablets, the ark with the broken tablet, because this will cause them to break their heart. And when they break their heart, it means they repent. And when they repent, God will save them. But according to this opinion, there were two separate arks. And it makes sense, goes good with this line. That in the ark was only the two tablets. But there's another opinion. He's right, there better be.
I see a lot of arcs with Torahs in them.
Huh?
I see a lot of arcs with Torahs in them.
Torahs in them.
Now, could it be that as they were putting it in, did they put anything in
What?
the ark?
What do you mean?
Like, there was nothing in. As they were putting it in, they put in the first thing.
He
And there was
says,
nothing else in it. And then they added afterwards.
it's written in the book of Kings that there is in the ark only the two tablets,
nothing else.
At that
nothing
time.
else. What?
And
That's
then-
already 480 years after they just left Egypt.
Right, but could it be that something
We only put the
happened?
ark we put the tablets until now, and then they changed it. Nobody was messing around with the arks. Whatever it was done by Moshe Rabbeinu, and that's it. So there is a question: was two arks or was one ark? If two arks, they took the broken tablets with them. Because a Jew needs a broken heart, a little humbleness, stand in front of God. Not, oh God, I did it, I made it, I'm a chochem, I did everything.
When they're going to war, that's what they need?
What happened to the Bar Kokhba revolt? You know, the whole Bar Kokhba revolt. Bar Kokhba says, you know, God, don't help us, don't hurt us.
Then he started to lose the war, yes.
Let us do it by ourselves.
Oh, yeah.
Very good,
They
yes,
got beat.
yes. Number 10.
And when the priest came out of the holy place, the cloud filled the house of God. The priest could not stand to minister because of the cloud of God's glory filled his house.
Then the house was just like it meant by Moses. The cloud of glory came unto the temple mount, to the sanctuary. So to the same thing. The cloud of God, whatever it was full that the Kohanes couldn't be there inside. That's how powerful it was.
Then
Then Solomon said,
the king turned around and blessed the whole congregation of Israel, and all the congregation of Israel stood. He said,
no, you missed it, 12.
oh,
Missed
12.
12.
Then Solomon said, God has said that he would dwell in the thick darkness. I have indeed built you a house of habitation, a place for you to dwell in forever.
God chose to clothe himself into the cloud. That's how he chose to represent himself. Then King turned to the people
Then
of
the
Israel.
king turned around and blessed the whole congregation of Israel, and all the congregation of Israel stood.
What he said? He said,
Blessed be God, the Lord of Israel, who spoke with his mouth to David my father, and has with his hand fulfilled it, saying, Since the day that I brought my people Israel out of Egypt, I chose no city in all the tribes of Israel to build a house, that my name might be there. But I chose David to be over my people Israel.
God did not choose a city. You know, Everybody says, oh, Jerusalem, Jerusalem, Jerusalem. In the 5th book of Moses, the name Jerusalem is not mentioned. It's not there. You know, there is an argument, in the Quran, Jerusalem is not mentioned, and in the Bible, there is 900 times, something like this. Yes, true, but not true. In the 5 books of Moses, the name Jerusalem is not mentioned. It's written many times, at the place you come to the place that God has chosen for you, right? In Parshat Vayakhel, where does it? For example, where I open just here now by 947, for example. Open it. Number 6. Number 5, actually. 947, number 5.
You may slaughter the Passover offering in any
You may not slaughter.
You may not slaughter the Passover offering in any of the settlements which Hashem your Lord is giving you.
The only site, go ahead.
The only site that which you may sacrifice the Passover offerings in the place that Hashem will choose, and a site designated in His name.
Hashem will choose the site. What's the site? What's the name? No name. Until David came and conquered Jerusalem and bought the Temple Mount and Solomon built it, only then it was clear what is the place that God chose. Until then, we didn't know what's the chosen place.
So how did later Jews pick some different spots? I mean,
For example?
the one priest who was ousted before the Maccabees goes off to this island in the Nile, Elephantine, for Egypt. Obviously, different groups picked Bethel in the north. The northern kingdom picked their
Yeah, but they all knew that Jerusalem is the place.
But we know that Adam, Abraham,
Adam
Isaac,
was created from the Temple Mount, and Abraham offered Isaac as a sacrifice on the Temple Mount, and Jacob had the dream on the Temple Mount. All the good things happened there. Noach made the offer sacrifices on the Temple
and
Mount.
we know the creation of the name Jerusalem, which comes from after the 4 kings and the 5. Yeah.
Yirah Shalem. All nice and fine. Until King David, until Solomon didn't build a temple there, we were not sure that this is the place that God chose. Therefore, it's not written in the Bible. What's the real message? I'll tell you what the real Hasidic message the Rebbe used to say. Every place the Jewish people come and learn Torah together, like in Solon or Ayom, is God's chosen place. Right here. This building, downstairs, right here.
So we can offer the Passover.
Sometimes up to
We can offer the Passover offering right here.
Passover lamb is a different story. We are not so good in offering sacrifices.
And if we were.
no grill's big enough.
Exactly. Yeah, we're not good in blood and this. It's not for us. We are better in going to the restaurant. But God's chosen place is the God wherever Jews go. There is a Meiri. The Rebbe brought you heard about the Meiri. The Meiri was living in the 11th century. When was it?
After that.
After that?
Yeah, 13th century.
13th century. It's called from the Rishonim. He writes, every place where there is Torah and God-fearing service of God, it's called it's the chosen place. That's why God purposely didn't give a name, because He wanted the Jews to take this everywhere. But here He says, now finally God said, I did not choose a city until now.
Why did God do that? I mean, why did He keep saying for hundreds of years, I'm going to choose a city, I'm going to choose a city, I'm going to choose a city?
Because it was up to the Jews to make it. There is explanations. One explanation is that if the Goyim will hear about the city, they will start fighting. If God will say Jerusalem, clearly there will be a war about it. Mm-hmm. Other people say that the tribes would fight about the city. Mm-hmm. The Jews would fight about the city. But the Hasidic explanation is because it's everywhere. Mm-hmm. In any case, we are in number 17. Now
it was in the heart of David my father to build a house for the name of God, the Lord of Israel. Mm-hmm. But God said to David my father, although it was in your heart to build a house for my name, and you did well that it was in your heart, nevertheless you will not build the house, but your son, who will come forth out of your loins, will build the house for my name.
It's this thing that David will not build the house. How many times it's written in the Bible? Quite a few. Amazing. Okay, continue.
Now God has established his promise that he made. For I have risen in the place of David my father, and I sit on the throne of Israel as God promised, and I have built the house for the name of God, the Lord of Israel.
And I have made there a place for the ark, in which is God's covenant, which he made with our fathers when he brought them out of the land of Egypt.
And here, what is not in the Haftorah is the old prayer, an amazing prayer that Solomon said to God when he dedicated the temple. Really unbelievable, the continuation of the same chapter. He says, is it another Haftorah? I don't think so. I don't think it's a Haftorah. I don't remember to have it Haftorah, but maybe this, I don't remember everything. But less than everything, much less than everything. But one second. This is the Yom Sheni of Sukkot. We say the same Haftorah. By the way, the same Haftorah. I just recognized that. It's the second day of Sukkot. They say the same Haftorah. That's interesting. I didn't know that.
If you have an scroll Tanakh, it'll tell you.
No, but this is the same. Here is a little bit Lochim Aleph Siman Ches. Yeah, that's also the same thing. But not the prayer. In any case, he started to pray to God. He says, God, when a Jew will come to pray, you should give him according to what he deserves, and you should hear, and the heavens should hear. Va'ato tishma hashamayim, and you will hear from heaven. And then he says an amazing thing: if a non-Jew will come to pray in your house of God, fulfill everything he's asking from you, even if he doesn't deserve it. Why should a non-Jew get better treatment than a Jew?
Come further. He's come from idolatry all the way.
Basically, in simple English, the Jew will forgive you. The non-Jew will walk away and say, it's a bunch of baloney. He will not say, because I don't deserve it. If the Jew doesn't get what he is asking from God, he will blame himself. He says, I didn't do enough mitzvahs. I'm not good enough. The non-Jew will say, the whole temple, and that's all a made-up story. Therefore, give him whatever he's asking. They should walk away and will know that there is a God of Israel. You know the famous story. I mentioned it yesterday. When I told the story yesterday. I'm talking to so many people, I don't know what they say, where and when and why. There's a story about a duke in Poland invited himself to his Jewish employee for Pesach, for the Seder. Fine, he comes to the Seder, celebrating, he's eating everything, he's enjoying the matzah balls. It's amazing. By the end, the whole family stood up and announced, next year in Jerusalem. He looks at the family and tells them, Moshka, you leaving? He tells them, yeah, we are going to Jerusalem. Mashiach is coming. He says, you're a very good employee. You're running the whole, you are my CEO. You better give me advance notice. And on top of it, I want to, he says, no problem, give me advance notice. He says, before you go, you're such a good employee. I want to participate in your trip, your journey. He says, no problem. The next year comes. The Duke had such a good time last Seder. He comes again. Comes again to the second Seder. He's enjoying the whole Seder. By the end of the Seder, next year in Jerusalem, he says, hey, Moshka, you said last year you're going to Jerusalem. He said, last year it didn't work out, But this year we are really going. He says, okay, if you're really going, he said, but remember, give me advance notice. Yeah, sure. Comes the third year. He's sitting by the Seder, and the Jew is thinking to himself, getting closer and closer to the end. He turns to God, he says, God, we will forgive you, but what is the Duke going to say? That's why King Solomon said, the Jews will forgive you, but the going for them, whatever they come, you give them, because if not, they walk away, they say it's nothing.